This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 521 for the week of May 4th, 2025. Well, hello, welcome back to Kanzenshuu, the podcast, an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site. Strangely enough, named Kanzenshuu, we cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. Great to be back with you once again. My name is Mike. You may see me around as Vegito EX. I am loving the podcast schedule right now, mainly because I've already recorded and edited so much stuff. I can just keep it on track. This is great. Hope you're loving it too. This time around on the show, I am excited to welcome a new voice to the show. Always love that. Joining me this episode is Vaughn from France. Vaughn attended the Made in Asia convention in Brussels earlier this year. Why would we be talking about this convention in particular? Yeah, there's always cool anime stuff going on at these conventions, right? This one in particular had a couple special guests, namely Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru and Chikashi Kubota. If you're a regular reader, listener of Kanzenshuu, you probably know these names. Nakatsuru, longtime, essential everything to this franchise, from character design to animation. Kubota, a more recent addition to the franchise, and also someone on the younger end of the spectrum. And by younger, I mean roughly my age-ish. Probably the two most recent main roles that are relevant to these folks. Nakatsuru was, of course, the character designer for Dragon Ball Daima, and many things in the past. And Kubota was the animation director for Dragon Ball Super So I chatted with Vaughn about this convention, got a lot of great tidbits, hearing about them, stories they shared, little tidbits, anecdotes, just really great conversation all around. So it's probably like half talking about the convention and these folks, another half personal anecdotes there, and then a bonus extra half. Yes, 1.5 total here. Just talking about art and artistry in the series, the franchise in general. Love that. So that's what's on tap for you this episode. I say without any further ado, let's get into that conversation, and then I'll see you on the flip side to wrap up the episode. Here we go. Mike chatting with Vaughn about Made in Asia over there in Brussels earlier this year. Let's go. I am psyched to finally speak with and welcome to the show. Vaughn, you're over there in France and you had an amazing time at an amazing convention. I want to hear all about it. Can you tell me a little bit about Made in Asia that was in Belgium, was it?
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm Vaughn. I was at Made in Asia at the beginning of the month of March. It was in Brussels, Belgium, the capital of French fries, the good ones. And I got to meet a bunch of different people, including Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru and Chikashi Kubota, who were there to do a small conference and sign autographs and answer questions. So I got to I got to ask them a few questions and even had a full interview with Kubota.
I am so jealous of this because obviously Europe has been a huge friend to anime over the many, many years. And we've gotten some folks over here. You know, we've been lucky. We did get Toriyama once back with the launch of the Viz's English language release of Shonen Jump. We've had Masako Nozawa a few times. We've gotten some other of the cast members. I feel like I just have the worst luck when it comes to the extended production staff. Takao Koyama came to a convention like around the corner from me a few years ago. It was just like coincidentally, I had to be out of town. I was like the other side of the country when that happened. I'm like, I just can't seem to make it to these kinds of events. So to be able to chat with someone who did actually attend and speak with some of these folks is great. So yeah, just kind of run me through the event and some of the panels and questions. Like, the world is your oyster here. Tell me anything and everything you want to tell us here.
So, sounds about right. Well, first, I come from the south of France, so I had to travel like 2.5 countries to get to Brussels, and there was even a bomb in Paris during the travel, so it was a mess with everything. So
oh my God!
I took the train because we take the train in Europe; it's easier and faster for most of the time. And well, we had 3 days of pure joy of nerd otaku shenanigans with everyone. On Friday, the event opened a bit later than the rest of the weekend. They opened at noon. It's a small-ish event because it was a spring issue. Made in Asia is twice a year, and the fall event is a bit bigger. They usually have more guests and more content, but for spring they decided we're going to ask Nakatsuru, who already came to Made in Asia in 2018. And Kubota, who also came in, I think it was the third time he came to Made in Asia, Kubota. He comes to Europe every now and then, which is nice because he gets to take his family on vacation.
I have to imagine they all do that. Like, hey, can I bring some like stipulation for me attending? Is I get a +1? Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think they do get either a +1 or a +2 depending on whether they have kids or not, which is very fun because I already met Kubota in November of 2024. I met him in Nantes, which is a French city, and he was there, and I decided to just go there because, Kubota, small event, I get to have a chat with him, and we did the fusion dance, which was very hilarious, but I also got to corrupt his son. Like I gave him candy, like, and his wife too, and we talked about food because, if you are Japanese and you come to Europe, especially France, you talk about food. You try all the food, and you go back home with 20 kilos more of, weight. So I got to re-corrupt Kubota's son and his wife with special French pastries for my region, because we are very proud of our regions. And the wife actually, and Kubota himself, and the translator recognized and remembered me. So yeah, I have I don't look particularly unique, but that's Von-san, who has a castle in the south of France. That's a whole other story. But yeah, it was fun. So they had the two of them opened signings, autographs twice every day. In the morning for 2 hours, and in the afternoon for 2 hours. So people would queue and they would sign for whoever was in the queue. And if the staff would close the queue every now and then, saying, okay, there's a bit too many people, we don't know. And if they were faster at drawing or at answering questions, they would reopen the queue to let a couple of more people in until the 2 hours were up. So most people got to get either a signature or an art piece. And some of them were even able to get two of them, because they just finished their queue and then went back and re-queued with the other, because it was one queue per artist. So I believe you guys saw on Twitter a few of them, because people posted art, and some of them even brought a shikishi to sign, and it was very interesting to see. Some people got a very big art piece, and others got just a little doodle because time was running out, and they tried their best, but some people really pushed a bit far for requesting complicated things. So yeah, this was so the staff really had to put an end to it at some point, which I don't blame them for.
Yeah, I mean, it's like opportunity of a lifetime. You're here with these people in front of you. You're like, all right, I'm going to take whatever I can get out of this right here.
Yeah, but I'm going to admit that some people were kind of rude, because they would, Kubota would be like, Chikashi, it's a bit difficult, and that's a no, but they don't say no. And they would insist and say, okay, fine, I'm going to do it, and the translators were trying to keep the expectations low. And so then I had to, because I got a press pass for Saturday and Sunday. I was friendly with the staff and explained, okay, I'm going to help you guys with this, and explain to people, okay, don't be rude, request something that's simple, don't, but basic manners, because it's very hard to explain the different kind of levels of manners for those things. But yeah, some of the requests were amazing. But yeah, Nakatsuru was much faster at drawing, because he doesn't need reference. This guy draws like whatever. So you give him a vague pose, a vague idea, or like, oh yeah, frame 835 of episode 121. He's like, yes, I got you. Like he gets it. So yeah, they were very friendly. Nakatsuru was jet lagged. He woke up a couple of times at like 3 a.m. He's like, I'm going to prepare the drawings. So he drew at home at the hotel. And when he arrived for the autographs, you got to pick any of the drawings that were already made. So he would get to sign autographs faster to see more people, which was very nice of him, because he really gave more of his time to fans, and it was interesting. And during the autograph sessions, I got to ask him a couple of questions, kind of sneaky. One of the questions was because the lithograph, the paper that he was giving for the event was a drawing of Kenosuke-sama, to which he was a character designer for the OVA at the time, like 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's so funny. I just bought a VHS copy of that like this week that I have coming in.
Well, you have going to be able to see it, because it's a beautiful movie. It's interesting. I have the anime comics of it, and I actually brought it. And I didn't know he was going to show that, so I got to show him the anime comics, and he was like, "Oh, that's old." Yeah, it's old. I mean, Nakatsuru is now 62, so you're like, "God damn, yeah, it's been a minute, right?"
Oh, what's so funny about that is like that. I don't know, it's me just getting older, but at 62, I'm like, yeah, that sounds young. And then you think about when this stuff was, like, oh, he was kind of a young dude working on this stuff.
Yeah, he started, he was 22 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I brought him the anime comics to show him, and when we got to talk to him when he was drawing or signing stuff, so we sneaked in a few questions. A bunch of people sneaked him a bunch of questions, but some of them were more interesting than others. And because I was here kind of like a journalist, I just hung around and listened. And one of the questions that I first asked was, if you had a chance to draw a manga like you did for the Brief Return of Dr. Slump, based on a Toriyama story, would you do it? And he was like, yes, I want to do it. So he wants to do a manga. Most of the manga that he drew actually were script written by Koyama. So he didn't script that, but he drew them. So maybe the Daima manga might be possible. It would be nice. Could be interesting.
I'd love to see that. Get the team back together. Koyama's not necessarily doing a whole bunch these days, but maybe you throw Toyotaro into the mix to, as the bridge between the middle age and the elder generation there.
Well, we need to find a script writer that's. I would go for Naho Oishi personally, but that's.
I would too.
Yeah, because Dragon Ball Z is just perfect. Like her narrative take on it, it's perfect. I would have taken Furusawa, but Furusawa is sadly deceased. Well, who do we have else as writers? We don't have. We have artists, but writers, so we don't have many.
That's the tough thing.
Maybe Torishima for funsies. That would be kind of hilarious. Let's be honest.
Just have him do a pass on it, just as a courtesy. Yeah, one final pass from Torishima
for funsies. But yeah, I don't know if Shueisha will allow it. But yeah, and then when I got to my own autograph, which he signed a little character design for Goku Super Saiyan Mini, I asked him personally, okay, Yamamuro avoided the problem, but you're going to give me an answer. Trunks, Super Saiyan 4, what colors? Because that's the question that, if you like Super Saiyan 4, you have the character designer of Super Saiyan 4 in front of you, and everyone and their mothers have been asking about what colors to give Trunks. So he kind of thought about it for a minute, asked the translator what I meant by color. So I said my hair, fur, or whatever. And he ended up saying, well, whatever color would work. So
cop out, yeah.
I was like, that means that Smurf Trunks is possible, and I don't agree with that. That's a meeting.
Oh, that's true. We didn't get 4 for Trunks. We got 4 for Gohan. We got it for Broly. They went the God route for Trunks, I guess, over in here.
Yeah, but Yamamuro specifically avoided Super Saiyan 4 Trunks because he couldn't decide on the color.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They're all cowards. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, so I was like, come on, just say something. But he was very polite and on brand with not giving personal opinions that are too clashing or too strong, because he represents something else. So right, he was very I'm not going to say coated, but you know what I mean. Like he wasn't. He was wearing his professional mask, so he didn't want to truly dive into something that could cause him problems. So the fact that he said that he would love to draw a manga, that gives me a little bit of hope. I also asked him if the hair color of Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the color of his hair was a reference to Masako Nosawa because, it's kind of the same color.
Yeah.
And sadly, he said, no, it's just a coincidence. But it's also a design by Toriyama and not by the instructions were by Toriyama, so he just drew it. So maybe Toriyama himself had Nozawa in mind because he entrusted her with Goku over the past few years, and the relation between Toriyama and Nozawa was very important to Toriyama himself. So I do believe that it was a background influence, but he himself said, no, it's just a coincidence. She always had her like that. So, but if you get to meet her in June, ask her.
So that's interesting because that was kind of something we were curious about going into the end of Daima, and we've gotten a little more information on that. And that's with regards to, okay, who actually designed for Daima. Obviously, it's a direct reference to GT, but it sounds like, yeah, there absolutely was some Toriyama direction. Maybe there's a full character design sitting around there somewhere that we just don't have and we'll never see. But yeah, it was a group effort there.
Yeah, it's according to there was the conference in which he answered that for GT, Nakatsuru was entrusted to design fully the character and the Super Saiyan 4 transformation without any input. And Toriyama later drew him for the fan box, so the Dragon box. And he explained, oh, did I draw it right? Like, because he says it's not his. And for Daima, during the different interviews, Nakatsuru explained that for Daima specifically, he did not design it. Toriyama gave him specifications and he drew it according to Toriyama's orders. So Super Saiyan 4, Daima, Goku, Mini, and Adult was designed and imagined by Toriyama, but it was drawn and designed in the sense of creating the character sheet by Nakatsuru. But Nakatsuru does not attribute himself the creation of Super Saiyan 4 Daima.
It's funny. Like, he's being humble about it, but at the same time, like, there's not really an easy answer to explain. It's like, well, we got direction and then there was a drawing over here. Like, if it were up to me, I would say co-designed by, but it's probably the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah, it's probable, but I personally, from how he spoke, I personally don't think there's a full concept art of Toriyama of Super Saiyan 4, like there is for Goku Mini.
Yeah.
But I believe there's a sketch or maybe some hand corrections or some specifications, like make his hand bigger here or, some corrections like there were corrections from Toriyama on Toyotaro's pages. So I believe it's more like that. And I believe that Nakatsuru does not want to attribute himself any of the credit for designing it because he does not believe it's his design anymore. But he's a very humble guy. He uses Boku as a pronoun.
See, there we go. That's the key information I need to know is what is Nakatsuru's pronoun usage? Yeah.
He uses Boku. Kubota uses Watashi. Very formal, but more genuine. No, Nakatsuru is genuine, but Kubota is more. We talked between fans, Kubota and I. We talked as fans from one fan to another. But Kubota has the same relation to Nakatsuru that we have to Nakatsuru. Like Kubota is a strong admirer of Nakatsuru.
Yeah, just kind of growing up and being a fan appreciation of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not only himself, also Yuya Takahashi, who somehow dropped into my DMs on Twitter. So that's a whole other story. But it's a fun thing to see that Yuya Takahashi is a big fan of Nakatsuru. Nakatsuru is God, and but he didn't. They got to work together, but it's a certain distance because I'm just a random freelancer and he's the character designer. So it's like you're a set prop and there's the actor. So it's an interesting thing.
So tell me, I guess just more, like a few big takeaways from either some of your own personal conversations or some of the panels that were conducted there.
Well, I got to interview Kubota with some details. And during the signature, the autograph sessions, I also got to ask him about Super Saiyan 4 Trunks because, I have an agenda.
Yep.
And actually, he actually talked about it. He was like, he leaned back, closed his eyes. He said, that's a hard question. Okay, Kuro. Kuro, black? Oh, yeah, why black? Well, nobody would expect black. It would be very surprising. Damn, dude. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So black fur, black hair, Super Saiyan 4 Trunks. Go, do it. I want to see it. So yeah, that made the rounds. It's a pretty fun situation. He also got to explain to me the cell spots animation nightmare.
Yeah, sure. I want to say this is a rumor because there's obviously truth in it. Like, of course, that's got to be difficult. And I'm sure that everyone who came on those episodes is like, what am I doing with my life here? Like, I'm just drawing all these dots. But I guess the rumor aspect to it was like, oh, well, they either like hated it and then avoided using cell later because they didn't want to draw the dots. Like, I don't know if that necessarily went into it. But yeah, what was the reaction here?
The situation. No, I mean, it's not a rumor. Every single interview in Animeland, which is a French magazine that interviews a lot of animators, they all mention the fucking cell spots. Like, the cell spots, the damn cell spots. Why? And Kubota himself was like, it's okay. I work digital. I'm good. Because he started with Gurren Lagann. He did most of the animation on paper first, and then it all went digital. And as a character designer, character designer for Dragon Ball Superhero, I was like, yes, okay, we can use cell because 3D, like it's 3D rigged. We don't need to draw the cell spots, right?
Yeah.
Except Kubota said, I kind of want to do 2D because 3D only. It's kind of like, And we want to surprise. He explained in Nantes, in the conference in Nantes, that he really wanted to surprise the viewers of Superhero with this introduction section, which is all 2D, which is like, yes, we want this, we want a remake, all of Dragon Ball like that, all of it, feed me. And then he realized he wanted to do that, and then he said, yeah, but there's going to be cells parts. We have to draw cell. So he drew the outlines and he decided, well, I'm the character designer. I'm doing this whole 2D section by myself. I'm not going to do it all alone, especially for the grunt stuff, So I'm going to ask Shintani, because Shintani was there. He said, okay, see, Shintani, here, I drew the outline of cell for the introduction. Continue it and finish the cell spots. And Shintani was like, what? Why? No, I don't want to do it. He did it, but he said, never again. I'm not going to do this ever again.
Just such an amazing prank to play on your coworkers there. Like, yeah, here's the song and it's ready for you. And it's cell. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, but imagine the idea of a 43-year-old. At the time, I think he was 43 or something like that. Kubota is now 46. Asking Shintani, who was a character designer for the previous movie, so he was not a random. He was not a random henchman. He's not an underling. And he's like, okay, you previous character designer, you're going to do this random task for an intern. I felt so sorry for him. And Kubota said, I felt so sorry for him too, because, it's kind of offensive.
Yeah. But I mean, the results speak for itself. Everyone, I mean, I like Superhero a lot, but that opening segment did make an impression with everyone.
It's perfect. Like, nice food, all of the food. We all want it. We all want it. So yeah, every single animator has complained officially about the cell spots. Kubota was not involved in the manga at all because he wasn't born at the time. But I said, well, maybe every single animator, those darn cell spots, and even Toriyama himself, those darn cell spots. What did I do this to myself? And Torishima, add more cell spots. Because Torishima is the kind of editor who would actually request something like that, even if he was not Toriyama's editor at the time. So, yeah, he found the idea kind of funny to believe that the cell spots curse is because of Torishima. I hope I'm going to be able to ask Torishima if he kind of did it. But yeah, it's a fun thing. But yeah, the whole animators all hated the cell spots. Kubota, when he started working in '98, he realized at the moment when he went through, he was like, wait, that means that all of the animators who worked on Z actually drew them all by hand.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you do this to yourself? Those madmen. So yeah, he couldn't fathom the amount of work and sweat and pain that it would have been to do this all on actual cells. And then he got to try to do it in superhero, and then decided to entrust the mission to Shintani. Poor Shintani, like he got the short end of the stick. It's adorable, very very adorable. I love him for it, and I feel sorry for all of those animators, Musunaga, even Bisawa. Like for Bisawa, he deserves better. But yeah, all of those curses about the cell phones they're all in either in Animeland or in Animedia at the time too. That's the Japanese magazine.
Yeah, I've been bolstering my collection of Animedia as well. I have like spans of years here and there. One of my projects was getting all of them from when GT was running. So I wanted to track the marketing of GT. I'm like, well, I've got like 2 years worth of Animedia. I guess I should just keep buying it, right? I'm just working my way backwards from there.
Yeah, but you should, because it's interesting. I have fan wrote myself because I'm more interested in the fan reactions. But yeah, Animedia is fun because you also have the fan letters that are written and the fan art that is sent. Yeah. And actually, Kubota explained later that he was buying those when he was in what you guys would call me end of primary school, beginning of middle school. So like when he was 10, he used to buy them. And when he bought them, he was comparing himself because he already knew he wanted to be an animator. He was comparing his art to other fan art that was sent, like, this guy is 11 too. I can do better. I can do worse. No, I need to improve in this part. So he was, and then he saw Furujun art, and like, Furujun, this guy is amazing. He draws super well. What the hell? Furujun used to draw doujinshi, fan manga, mostly gag. So nothing weird, nothing strange, just plain gags and everything that are pretty easy to find now. And he kept sending them, and Kubota was keeping buying them. And then one day, Furujun said, "Hey, I made it. I got hired as a merch artist." Kubota was like, "Whoa, a regular fan can make it. I'm doubly motivated. I can do this." And Furujun ended up being Furusawa Junya, who sadly passed away in 2020. And most of his art is known because if you're a Trunks fan, you know Furusawa Junya, because if you imagine a Trunks art, that's him. He drew it.
I like that story with him looking at this and seeing, oh, this other person got to do an official thing. It reminds me a lot. Toyotaro said a similar thing, looking at things like the Cashman manga, Brief Return, Dr. Slump, seeing other names on there like Koyama, Nakatsuru, being like, oh, there are other people. You're like, yeah, they support this franchise. I can do that too. I want to help and work on it in an official capacity. It seems like it spans generations. It's great.
And you can participate in the franchise in very different ways. Well, Furusawa became a merch artist for Bandai and for Animetopia, and also all of those underlays. He did most underlays and stationery art. But yeah, it's interesting to see how many people were actually drawing Dragon Ball. Many of whom we don't know the names of. Like plenty of artists who drew for the video games. We have no idea. I have an official art for one of the cards. I have no idea who drew it. I'm like, damn it, who is it? Who are you? Who are you, Goku, end of GT, wearing the blue outfit? Who are you? I want to know who you are. But
I am with you. It is that era of promo art specifically. It's like around Final Bout. There's something about those designs. They're like, there is no notes. So like everything about them is just spot on. And like we have no idea who drew these whatsoever.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go and kick some doors at Animetopia's and Amada's door, and then say, "Okay, I have this. I want to know who drew it. Give me your papers." Oh yeah, we're going to fax it to you. Yeah, of course you're going to fax it to me because Japan and faxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super interesting to see that. But yeah, plenty of different artists who were involved, and well, some of them actually ended up drawing official manga for Dragon Ball. Be it through Naho Ishii, who did the Yosun Goku manga adaptation, and then she did the episode of Bardock, which later became an AV. So that was interesting. Then she did Dragon Ball Z, and yeah, no, it's amazing. Dragon Ball Z is amazing.
And she's still going, still going with ST.
I'm so sorry you guys don't have it in English.
It is brutal. We don't have ST. We don't have the Heroes manga. We're just missing all of that. I see so often people ask, "Oh, I wish they would do like a What If series and they could do all these different fights." Like, it exists.
It exists.
It's in Japanese.
Or in Spanish, or in German, or in French, but not in English, because for whatever reason, SD exists in French and in Spanish, and Heroes exist in Spanish and German. You know, the manga industry has to be a big problem to come to the conclusion that the manga exists in German but not in English. You know, like
I know, right? Yeah. Vaughn, I've taken half an hour of your time. This is great. I've learned already a lot about these people. Are there any kind of like last like big, whether it's news or just like cool little anecdotes, takeaways from some of the panels or your other conversations?
Kubota remembered some of the names of the key animators, freelancers who participated in Daima, including a couple of French ones, which are my BFFs, Sanda and Nightberry. Sanda, who actually worked on Heroes at the time. He did a few scenes with Hearts, which is pretty nice. And they were both very happy about working on this. Oh yeah, Kubota anecdote, which was pretty fun, that he talked about, and he reinforced in Made in Asia, but he first mentioned it in Nantes, that he was asked about the reception of the intro to Superhero and Boo flashbacks of Daima, so it's like the same kind of style. And he said he really worked hard on it. He spent more time than he probably should have, because he knew that nowadays people, especially otakus online, they really pause frame by frame to have a look closely at the quality of the art. And so people, he thinks, and he says that fans are very picky compared to what happened in the 90s, because, you know, VHS and broadcast, and you can't pause it. So the quality of the screen does not allow you to see so many errors. So he really worked hard because he didn't want to be flamed online, basically. Yeah. So yeah, that's hard. But yeah, we had to tell him that it was amazing, and yeah, we wanted to see, and I really expressed to him and to Nakatsuru that for me personally, Daima looked as I remember feeling when I was 7 watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And keeping up to nostalgia is pretty hard, you know. It's not an easy task. He really worked hard on those parts, especially. Yeah, I'm very, very, very moved by them, because it's really amazing work. And well, he really hopes that because I got to ask him if there is a scene. In Dragon Ball, there's a lot of time skips, you know, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, whatever. There's a lot of empty spots, you know. We know that stuff happened during those parts because we see the consequence, but we don't know the scenes. Like, we know that Goku trained with Kami for 3 years between the 22nd and the 23rd tournament, but we never saw it. So I asked Kubota, I gave him a few examples of such scenes, such moments. If there's any of those scenes that you would like to animate, which one would you like to do? It's kind of my sneaky way of saying a remake Dragon Ball when. kind of like if you want to reanimate something that didn't happen. And he really found the question hard, and the translator also found the question hard, because says, "Oh, that's a hard one." Because usually translators will anticipate most of the questions by everyone. I asked them if they wanted my questions beforehand, but they said no. So I was like, okay, you're going to have surprises then. And he said, well, the thing is, when the Bardock special came out, there was a scene in Bardock special that we know happened in the manga, but we never got to see, which is Goku's arrival on Earth. And then a bit later in the manga, Toriyama referenced it by showing Bardock in that one panel with Frieza. And Kubota, 12 years old, saw that and was like, oh, that means that something that is a TV anime original can make it into the manga, that means that an animator can create something that is the word in English would be canon, but they don't care about canon in Japan. And he said, if I have the chance to be asked to draw any of these scenes, I would love to do it, because he doesn't have a particular scene in mind, because I asked that question out of the blue, and he really a blank mind, at the time.
Yeah.
My own personal preference would be seeing how Goten and Trunks grew up together and got Super Saiyan for the first time. Something like that,
Yeah.
So that's the simple scene. We know it happened, but we never see it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we keep cramming everything into this 10 years between Boo and Boo, but we don't get anything at all these prior time skips. They're ripe for exploration, for sure.
Or I don't know, Vegeta hanging out with the Namekians for 8 months. During the two wishes, like he's there. He killed an entire village of them, and he's there chilling at Capsule Corp with them for 8 months. Like, that's long.
Those are also the kinds of things that Toyotaro, we haven't gotten any bonus chapters from Toyotaro in so long, but those are the kinds of things that he would do, or especially Oishi would do in like an SD chapter, or maybe be like tucked away in like a side panel somewhere. But they love exploring that stuff, and I agree. I wish we had more of that.
We need more slice of life. Like, come on, give me all of the slice of life shenanigans. So Kubota himself was very, very eager to draw something like that. If he's asked to do an in-between, a slice of life, a Gaiden, or something like that, he wants to do it. He's very, very happy about it, because he wants to contribute to what we know happened and how it happened.
Yeah.
So,
that's great.
So it's not really expanding the universe, but filling in those blanks, like how Bulma and Vegeta got together, or why. Did they realize that Trunks was going to be their son? Because, I mean, come on, he has Vegeta's face and he has Bulma's colors and clothes. Like, I mean, Bulma is smart, but she's not very observant, Did Goku sleep up at some point, and Panchi decided to try and make the ship happen? It's like, that's something that she would do, because it's Panchi, Bulma's mother, But yeah, it's that was the interesting part that Kubota told me about, that he wanted to really do, if given the chance, so if he's asked. So it's time to ask Akio Yoku to get on with it, and hopefully it's going to happen. But in the meantime, all of that is in doujinshi and fanworks and fanfics and something gags. Furusawa drew a bunch of gags about Gohan's birth and Goku and Chi-Chi's life as newlyweds in that 5-year skip. Hopefully we get to see more of that.
Well, this was great. I'm so glad to finally get a chance to chat with you about really just anything Dragon Ball. I always love just meeting new people from across the world. We all have this shared love of this series. And we each have like little things here and there that we like. Like, there's so much crossover, even when we don't know it. You got people that focus on this, people that focus on this, but I feel like we're connecting on Oishi in particular here. Just big fans of that stuff.
Oh yeah, but in France, Dragon Ball started in 1988, so we had Dragon Ball before Z even existed. So it's a big part of our for French speakers. It's a big part of our childhood, and like many French fans are of the old generation are almost in their 50s now. So like,
well, Vom, where can folks follow you? I know I've got you on Blue Sky. Is there a preferred method of following that you got out there?
Either Blue Sky or X, if you want. I'm Von DBZ on both, so find me. I don't share anything that's particularly outrageous, but I do have guys holding hands. So if you don't like guys holding hands, don't follow me because you might see some of it. Nothing outrageous, but it's some people are very touchy about that. So
that's pretty standard for Dragon Ball fandom. That's widely accepted in Kanzenshuu here.
But yeah, it's people are weird. Man, people are weird.
They are. What's next for you? You said we were hoping we get Torishima out to a convention. Is that what's next on the docket for you over there?
Yeah, well, Japan Expo Paris is the biggest convention in the world after Comic-Con. It's bigger than Comic-Con. It's huge. It's in the summer. It's July 3rd to 6th, I believe, this year. Usually it falls around the 14th because it's a holiday in France, the 14th. And not only do we have Torishima, we also have Nakatsuru, who was announced like on the 14th of April, so very recently. He was just announced. And hopefully I'm going to obtain an interview with either of them, both of them, hopefully. And I really hope that we're going to have a fun thing. It seems that Torishima is going to have a conference every single day of the convention, which is like pretty long.
That's great. Just let that guy talk. He's got stories. I want to hear them.
Yeah, all of them. And some of the information that Nakatsuru had shared during the conventions were already confirmed by the podcast that he did with Torishima at the Koso podcast, which pretty interesting content there too. So we need to dig into that and hopefully get a proper clean translation and transcription and then translation of everything. But yeah, it's I'm very hyped to see how is it going, even if I have to go to Paris to go to the convention. So yeah, if hopefully if people have questions, they're free to send them to me or something. Then as long as it relates to their work, because I'm not going to ask narrative questions to Nakatsuru because Nakatsuru never had any hand at any narrative or power scaling questions because it's not his job and he doesn't have any strong opinions. Kubota has some opinions because he was a Dragon Ball fan before working on Dragon Ball. So he has some opinions, but there's nothing related to his work, And Torishima has a lot of tea, so I like to see what he has to say in Paris. Hopefully it's going to be fun.
Definitely, and especially if you get Torishima. I have one or two questions in mind that I'll slide your way, so we'll see if we can get some stuff cleared up.
Sounds good. My socials are open. Everything is open. Just anyone can send me anything. And if you have specific questions, I'm happy to try and compile everything together if I get to ask to get a proper interview because Japan Expo is huge, so it's going to be difficult to slide him a few questions. While Made in Asia was more casual, so it was easier to hang around, ask questions in the in between situations, and when you slide in a good pastry, you get to corrupt also the translator, so it's fine.
Yeah, you're my kind of person. I did a similar thing. Conventions, like I'm just gonna hang around and either whoops, I got an extra couple questions out of it, or whoops, I got an autograph out of it just because I was hanging around. It's the way to do it.
Yeah, and being nice and just being polite and helpful too. I mean, I told you I got to make a little heart hand with Kubota's son, who is 4, so he's like but the most adorable little boy. So yeah, he's like super cute. He had the bob cut like Gohan at the time of Namek. So like, oh, that's so cute. And his mom also was adorable. So we got to chat about food and the important stuff.
That is the important stuff. Thank you much. I appreciate it. This was a wonderful time. And, maybe we'll have to catch up again after the next convention there.
Well, we'll see you in August then. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again to Vaughn for chatting with me about the convention, also sharing a whole bunch more with me. We had a wonderful conversation after the podcast. I learned a bunch of stuff. I completely missed entirely, I don't know how, the Mandarake had these 2 giant auctions going on, and they have this Zenbu catalog showing all the big stuff going on, all dedicated to Toriyama. Not all, but primarily dedicated to Toriyama. These auction catalogs are basically like unofficial merchandise guidebooks, directories. I didn't even know. I love learning new things and seeing new things. So I was psyched to pick up those catalogs after the conversation. I guess there was at least one older one back in the 80s that also did, they also had some big Toriyama auctions. So I picked that one up. That's on the way to me as well. As I'm recording this, these auctions are going on right now, at least this the second wave. Really interested to see what that full collection of Birdland Press is gonna go for in the end. Oh boy. Otherwise, what can I share with you right now about the site? There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm probably writing too many things in the background at once. I need to stop and focus on one thing and maybe launch one thing. But I like writing a million things all at once. That's just my curse. It's how I work. I get distracted by anything and everything Dragon Ball here. If you want to learn a little more about some behind the scenes projects, I would say check out patreon.com/Kanzenshuu. Wrote a new update for May, just saying a couple things going on, namely probably some AI bot attacks and our stance on that, none of which should be a surprise to anyone, but also some manga guide stuff in the works. I am looking at a, what issue is this? Which one am I breaking here? This is the 1988 number 15 issue of Weekly Shonen Jump that I'm breaking the spine on here to get a good scan of a Dragon Ball title page. It's okay. Don't worry. I have 2 other copies of this magazine. Didn't mean to have 3 total, but here we are. In terms of podcasts, well, I would say check out that Patreon post to outline what the upcoming episodes are going to be, at least tentatively. We should be on schedule for at least the next month and a half. So psyched about that. So for podcast listeners, I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Regular website folks, head on over. There's always something going on the site, the forum, etc. As you're listening to this podcast episode, there was not one last night, but there will be the following week, and that is our generally weekly Saturday night Mario Kart streams. We are saying goodbye to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in the next month. I think, looking at the schedule here, we're going to be on a week and then off, I think, the next 2 weeks. And then the week after that is Switch 2 launch. I think there's only one more Mario Kart 8 dedicated stream left in us. So we'll do a send-off to that game. For anyone who wonders, the reason why we settled on Mario Kart for our streaming game is it's the game that most people owned. It supported up to 12 players. And it was the most simple in terms of how do you join a game with friends? You just press a couple buttons. Really, as Ken often says, the Mario Kart stream, that is the content. If you're listening to the podcast and you're not watching and checking out those streams, you are missing out. Speaking of course, check out our buddies over at We Got a Podcast. I have purposefully arranged a schedule right now where we're basically flip-flopping release weeks. So you pretty much always have something in an RSS feed somewhere to listen to from people you know and love. I think that's it. There's probably more to say. I am especially psyched for, I'm always psyched for every episode, but I'm definitely psyched for next episode, which if all things go according to Keikaku, should line up with the release of something coming out and talking all about that and talking more about things related to that. Stay tuned. My name has been Mike and remains Mike. I will see you around on the internets. Thank you, folks. www.kanzenshuu.com. That is kanzenshuu.com. We'll see you next time on the podcast and on the site. Later, folks.